Coming up here on the San Francisco 49ers Report, we have another new Christian McCaffrey injury update. Teams continue to be scared to target Mooney Ward. And Niners kicker Jake Moody was Money Moody on Monday Night Football. Let's begin with this poll question, though. The injury status of Christian McCaffrey, a fascinating development here in the early portion of the 2024 season. Should the Niners put CMC on short-term IR? Let me know down in the comment section why for yes or N for no. And let's begin with the latest around Christian McCaffrey. Limited participant in practice today. He is not a candidate to go on IR, according to head coach Kyle Shanahan, but is that a bad decision by the Niners? A heads up here as we dive into this story. The McCaffrey reporting is really all over the place. You have the insight from Kyle Shanahan. Christian McCaffrey spoke. We'll pass along what he had to say. You have local reporters, national reporters. Nobody seems to know about whether or not McCaffrey is going to play on Sunday against Minnesota or how long this injury could linger. So, as for the CMC update, Kyle Shanahan just got done speaking with the media, held his press conference and said that McCaffrey is going to be limited at practice today at the SAP Performance Center in Santa Clara. There was some buzz that maybe McCaffrey could go on IR just so that he could get healthy and focus on that rehabilitation and not risk further injuring that calf and Achilles issue. Shanahan also said, as I mentioned, not a candidate to go on IR. And that was a conversation because my guy Marco Martinez took to X a little bit earlier today. This is the same guy who broke the Brandon Ayuk contract story before the bigwig reporters, and he said, I'm being told the Niners are having conversations in-house with their medical staff and Christian McCaffrey about him going on IR to give him time to rest. And speaking of his report on Ayuk, this came out well before Adam Schefter, Ian Rappaport broke the news about Ayuk's extension with San Francisco, the 4-year, $120 million deal with $76 million in guaranteed money. And Marco does a great job talking about the Niners, and he has broken a lot of Niners stories before. Clearly has a source or sources within the organization, because when you say something like this, has to be the case, right? He's not just guessing here. 49ers fans are going to have a great weekend. Y'all can relax and enjoy the 3-day weekend. This is going into Labor Day. Bring out the number 11 jerseys. Make sure they're clean because we got our number 1 wide receiver back. Now, McCaffrey was at his locker today during player availability, and he said, my mentality is that I'm playing this week. Here's the quote from the reigning NFL Offensive Player of the Year. That's how I am every week. I'm not lying. I think as soon as a player says, maybe I will, maybe I won't, that's not a good mentality to go into the week with if you're on the fence. For me, I'm ready to go. And then he was asked about whether or not he's going to make a decision based upon the Vikings having a turf field at Bank of America Stadium. He said, if you can't run on turf, you can't run on the field. If you can go, you can go. And a lot of people have asked me about this McCaffrey injury. And funny enough, they've asked me, Chase, did the Niners know about this injury prior to him signing that contract extension when he got that guaranteed money? This is actually a new injury, but he also suffered the same injury last year. And if you remember, he missed Week 18 against the Rams with a calf injury. And then the Niners kind of had to monitor that in the divisional round, NFC Championship game, and in the Super Bowl. I don't think he looked 100%. And then he suffered another calf injury at the start of training camp. So this is well after he signed that deal with San Francisco. He was limited last week, and then it seems as though he kind of re-aggravated it because he pulled himself out of Friday's practice, yet he was telling people, I think I'm going to be able to play on Monday Night Football against the New York Jets. And look, when it comes to McCaffrey, I love Christian McCaffrey's dedication to football, but I would be very careful with this injury. You can tell that McCaffrey is so devoted to his craft, and with his dad being an All-Pro and a Super Bowl champion during his playing career, when McCaffrey was in high school, he wouldn't wear jeans on game days because they would weigh his legs down. He would always wear sunglasses outside because if you squint, it takes energy away from you. He would do crazy hydration techniques. He would just go about his game in a really specific manner where he would do these things that were necessary in order for him to perform his best on game day. And now that he's a professional athlete, he does these really in-depth sprinting workouts, and you can just tell with his footwork, with his game, how great of a player that he's become, how everything is so calculated with his approach off the field, that the dude just loves ball. So that type of dedication is awesome. But you can't mess around with the calf and Achilles injury. And if McCaffrey can't go, it's okay for San Francisco here. Because if McCaffrey can't go, it's the Jordan Mason show. And Jordan Mason was so good against the New York Jets on Monday night. And we're getting further data from his performance in primetime. No running back in week 1 faced an 8-man box more than Jordan Mason. 50% of the time, 8 men were in the box. It didn't stop him from running for nearly 150 yards in a career game. Richard Sherman was very impressed with Jordan Mason, and I wanted to pop this quote up because Richard Sherman played with Marshawn Lynch, and Jeff Collins, who coached Jordan Mason at Georgia Tech back a few years ago when the Niners signed him as a UDFA, compared Mason to Marshawn Lynch. Here's what Sherman said. People saying he runs like Marshawn Lynch out there, my goodness, he does run with a very heavy hat. He runs downhill. He was punishing people all day. You could see as the game went on, he started to wear the defense down, people turning down hits, people turning down tackles. Sometimes they were running into blocks, and they were like, keep me over here. I don't want what's over there. That dude was running like the rent's due, like the rent is due. I love how Richard Sherman put that a couple of times. Runs with a heavy hat, running like his rent is due. He was just punishing and taking the will away from that Jets defense, just snatching the souls right out of their body. And yesterday on the show, we talked about how successful this Niners offensive line was. A nearly perfect pass block win rate. And then in the ground game, of course, they were terrific. How about how Jordan Mason ran behind the rookie right guard Dominic Pooney, who, by the way, was the highest graded rookie in the National Football League in week 1. Jordan Mason averaged 8.3 yards per carry running behind the third-round pick out of Kansas. And then more additional info here. Missed tackles forced. Jordan Mason was able to force 13 missed tackles. That was 5 above the next best running back in James Conner against the Buffalo Bills with 8. Ramondre Stevenson of the Patriots playing the Bengals. He forced 8 missed tackles. Brian Robinson with 7. And Devon Achane with 6. I mean, we've been talking about Jordan Mason for a long time. He's been one of my breakout candidates. When the Niners signed him as a UDFA and we saw him in the preseason, I had said, this dude can really play. People who have been rooting on this team closely and follow this team closely have been saying for a long time, Jordan Mason is a player. Finally, Kyle Shanahan gave him the keys to the car on Monday night. Of course, it happened because of the Christian McCaffrey injury, but he certainly took advantage of it. So who would you start at running back against Minnesota on Sunday? JM for Jordan Mason, CMC for Christian McCaffrey. Let me know down in the comment section right now. So we talked about the newest Christian McCaffrey injury update. I'm going to explain how teams are scared to target Mooney Ward at cornerback and Jake Moody, Money Moody on Monday Night Football. He has earned NFC Special Teams Player of the Week honors. If you missed yesterday's show, we brought a brand new sponsor on board here on the San Francisco 49ers Report. That is PXG. They have completely changed my golf game and my iron game. It's difficult, always a work in progress. So when I heard how the new PXG Black Ops irons can dramatically improve my game, I had to give them a try. I booked a fitting at a PXG location. I brought my current irons. I took the PXG Irons Challenge, and my club fitting experience at the PXG facility that I went to, incredible. They set you up in front of a golf simulator with an instructor. You take a couple of swings, whether it be with your irons or a driver, any type of club that you have in your bag, and they're able to track your club head speed, the velocity of the ball coming off the club. They can track that ball to track the spin, the carry, the exit velocity. They can see where your club face is angled, and they can mess with your grip and the direction of the club and get the clubs that are perfect for you. I'm telling you, I was blown away by the data and the analytics. The new PXG Black Ops irons are game improvement missile launchers. As you can see with some of the clips here, I was amazed with how fast the ball was coming off the club face. They feature X-Core 2 technology and a dual cavity design that combines with their high-strength, ultra-thin, maraging steel club face to deliver superior forgiveness, absolutely explosive distance, and a feel that's softer than a baby bunny. The new Black Ops irons are incredibly easy to hit. They maximize performance and fun. Oh, and they're only $149.99 a stick. That's a great price for a great golf iron. So take the PXG Irons Challenge. It's a ton of fun there at the facility. And if PXG's new Black Ops irons don't outperform your current irons by delivering either more distance or tighter dispersion, that means better accuracy during your fitting, you will get a $100 MasterCard rewards card. Hurry, this offer ends on October 7th, so book your fitting today at pxg.com. That's pxg.com, and tell them that Chat Sports, Chase Sr., and the 49ers Report sent you. There are 200-plus locations to visit all across America. There's one in the East Bay for my San Francisco area followers, in Dublin, California. And then those of you also living in California, PXG Orange County, Huntington Beach, California, Stone Tree Golf Club in Novato, California, and hundreds more nationally. We'll put that link down below in the comment section and in the description of today's Niners Report. So let's talk Charvarius Ward here. The New York Jets really feared the second-team All-Pro cornerback on Monday Night Football. He was able to log 45 snaps after last year. He led the NFL in passes defended, and all of his 45 snaps came on the left side of the defensive line of scrimmage, and Aaron Rodgers did not target Ward's side. He knew that Ward was over there. You don't believe me? Here's a look at Aaron Rodgers' passing chart against this Niners defense, which I thought Nick Sorensen called a beautiful game. And Aaron Rodgers threw one short pass to the offensive right side and defensive left side in that game. He threw another ball down the right hash, but with Ward over here, Aaron Rodgers simply did not look or target his direction. All of his throws, most of them to Garrett Wilson, because the Jets are pretty thin at wide receiver, came on the offense's left side of the field. Now, this is a good sign for San Francisco because Ward is a really good player, but on that other side, out of the slot, was Deommodore Lenoir, and the other outside corner was an under-the-radar free agent acquisition in Isaac Yiadom. And they played really good football in Week 1 of the 2024 season. Deommodore Lenoir, who I think has Pro Bowl, All-Pro potential, one of the top slot corners in the game, he was targeted 10 times. Isaac Yiadom was targeted 4 times, and combined, the other corners, not Ward, only gave up 9 catches for 100 yards, and both had 2 really big pass breakups. Deommodore Lenoir's PBU came on the Demetrius Flanagan Fowles interception, in which he made a great pursuit and break on the ball on that pass intended from Rodgers to Garrett Wilson. That led to a big turnover for San Francisco. And then Isaac Yiadom had a big pass breakup on a 4th and short on another pass intended for Garrett Wilson. I've said this a couple of times here on the show, but this Niners secondary, probably the deepest that it's been under head coach Kyle Shanahan and John Lynch, and that's, of course, important in a very pass-happy era. Let's round out the show with talking about Jake Moody. A lot of people didn't expect that Jake Moody was going to put up nearly 30 fantasy points in Week 1, and he swayed a lot of games during the Week 1 fantasy slate. He was awesome. Now, it's a little bit of a worry that San Francisco couldn't finish some of those drives and put touchdowns on the board instead of field goals, but keep in mind, they just added Trent Williams to the practice field last week. 2 weeks ago, they added Brandon Ayuk, and both of those players are not in peak conditioning. And imagine how good San Francisco could be once they iron out some of those flaws and they finish some of those drives with touchdowns. But at the same note, it was a great sign that Jake Moody was able to kick the ball as accurately as he did, even though one of his 50-yarders did glance off that left upright and it went in. But Moody, 6 of 6. It was a big week for kickers and punters across the National Football League. Moody also 2 of 2 on point after attempts, and he was 2 of 2 on kicks of 50-plus yards. I know a lot of people didn't like the third-round selection of him, and then he had some rocky moments last year. He missed the game winner against the Cleveland Browns. He missed the extra point against the Kansas City Chiefs in the Super Bowl. Well, that was huge. But everybody focuses on that missed PAT against Kansas City, yet in clutch moments in that Super Bowl, he had 2 50-plus yard kicks, and he was able to drill them both. He has a big leg. He had a clutch gene at Michigan, and it was good to see Jake Moody very confident kicking the ball through the uprights, going 6 of 6. Absolutely no joke, and he was named the NFC Special Teams Player of the Week for Week 1 of the 2024 season. Be sure to hit that subscribe button here on the San Francisco 49ers Report for breaking news, regular news updates, great analysis. We kind of fit all of that into the show. Anytime there's a big report, there's a juicy rumor out there, we'll dissect that here on the program. We'll be going live on the 49ers Report tomorrow afternoon, and then we'll be live Sunday for our Vikings-Niners watch party.